Welcome to the TAG Runtime talk. So we're going to talk today about the TAG Runtime, its current structure. In principle, we have 5 speakers. Rajas couldn't join us today, and Ricardo might join in a bit. So hi, I'm Danielle. We got here Alexander and Stefan. So that's us. Should we say short something?
Sure.
Or? Okay, so I'm a PM for Microsoft and also co-chairing TAG Runtime.
Hi, I'm Steve Rust. I work at Akamai. I'm a principal architect working on all of our cloud-native initiatives for the Akamai Cloud, aka Linode.
And I'm Alexander Kanevskiy. I work for Intel, doing all different stuff about the Kubernetes and CNCF stack, mostly like runtimes, resource optimization, and so on. And particularly here, it's more interest of container orchestrated devices working group and CDI spec.
By the way, I'm Danielle. I forgot to say my name before.
And unfortunately, Rajas was called home, so he couldn't be with us today. But we also have Ricardo.
Hi, I'm Ricardo Aravena. I'm one of the co-chairs for TAG Runtime. I've been a co-chair for a long time, like about 4 years.
Cool, so that's us. We're going to talk about intro, what is TAG time, overview of the TAG itself and the working groups. Then Ricardo is going to talk about the TAG reboot and restructure, and then some ways to get involved if you're interested. So, what's a tag? So, we got a nice definition here. The CNCF Technical Advisory Group scales to contribute by the CNCF Technical and User Committee while retaining integrity and increasing quality in support of the CNCF mission. So, basically, what the tag goal is to help the TOC to just do whatever is needed. If it's technical reviews or just getting involved with the community, facilitate discussions, and so on. We'll get into it in a second. The landscape is quite wide. We have a lot of projects, so that's why we need to kind of restructure tags in order to facilitate all of these different areas that we have at the CNCF. So now there is 209, I think, including archived projects, and about 2000, like 5-6 years ago, I think there were like 50. Yeah, so it's growing. And in order to facilitate all of that, then the TOC needs some help. And that's where we get into the picture. So what does a tag do? It's a way to get basically to help the TOC to be involved with the community. So we facilitate talks and areas of expertise that need coordination between the TOC and the community. Currently, there are 8 different tags, but that's about to change. We'll get to that in a bit. The tags work with the TOC to help to spread the work across the different domain of expertise. Some of the projects might be under one tags or more because it depends which area they're touching. So it depends on the scope of the project. Here are some the tags themselves. So in the current structure, so you could see the little tiger, that's us here. But we have observability, networking, storage, cloud native security, delivery app, and yeah, okay, you could read the rest. What are the tag responsibility as it's structured today? So we have the reach out to project to engage with the community, project come and do presentations. We have also help them to do project reviews, help to bootstrap initiatives, white paper, and facilitate different working group. And, we meet with the community by facilitating bi-weekly, fortnightly meetings. And that's like the first often it's the first point of contact for projects with the CNCF. All right.
Great, thanks Danielle. So that was really the overview of the current tag structure, and then we can dig into a little bit about what runtime is specifically and what we've been working on here. So really, runtime is, you may think it's about runtime, right? So clearly that is how it got it started, but really goes into all kinds of different things as well, such as orchestration and different workload types, into operating systems and virtualization as well, and then into a lot of edge and devices, and you can tell there's a lot of kind of breadth to what is runtime today. And actually, a lot of the AI initiatives as well have fallen under, currently under runtime. So just really a broad area, and it's more than just container runtimes, right? So some of the examples, and I think it's important to note that this is all about the projects at the end of the day, and the tags are here to help the TOC, of course, but it's really about helping the projects and those communities, because that is why we're all here, and that's what makes the CNCF so important. So a few call-outs from this slide. We have Flatcar, which is recently incubating, KubeEdge, which is recently graduated, as well as WASM Cloud, just graduated last year, and just joins a long list of projects that have come through. Even Kubernetes itself is technically a runtime project, although very self-sustaining today with a lot of its own structure. And just to go over some of these scope areas, as I mentioned, so workload orchestration, you can see a lot of the projects there. It does get into runtimes as well, like container runtimes, so Containerd, Cryo, and Friends. Yuki was a recently accepted sandbox project, which is a container runtime written in Rust, which is really interesting. And I didn't mention the WebAssembly as well, is also a runtime area of focus, so things like WASM Cloud, WASM Edge. And then moving down to serverless, so Knative and a lot of the OSs as well, so K3s, K0s was just accepted into Sandbox earlier this year as well. And then special purpose operating systems, so a lot of the purpose-built Kubernetes distros is a good area of focus there. And then, of course, we have the AI, and then a lot of those related projects there. A lot of interest in that area, and there's been historically a lot of working groups as well under runtime, and we can get into sort of the current structure that we have in those working groups, and talk a little bit about some initiatives that they have been able to accomplish to this point. So first, do you want to talk about this part? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Briefly about the AI working group. This working group has been around for maybe about 2 years. There's been a lot of interest around AI, so the community came together and tried to create something around cloud native AI, on how to run AI workloads on top of cloud native, but also how you can use AI to improve cloud native workloads like AI ops or things like LLMs connecting to Kubernetes. So multiple areas. So we have several initiatives going on, and a lot of it started with the Cloud Native AI white paper that was published in Paris last year. And subsequently, we had interest in different areas like an AI security white paper, creating a playground, or there's also a scheduling challenges white paper. So there are a lot of challenges around GPU management. So the community has come together to try to create some best practices and create a document on that. And there's also a sustainability AI white paper in the works, and this kind of addresses the issue with energy consumption, which is also kind of related to GPUs.
There's been a lot of effort around WebAssembly as well. There's been a really cross-company, cross-community, kind of bringing a place to bring the WebAssembly community together to work on specific initiatives. So one outcome has been updates to OCI artifact layout specifically for WASM, and then really working on code updates through kind of in collaboration with the Bytecode Alliance as well. So those are different organizations, but this working group allows kind of a CNCF collaboration with that group as well. So they have committed code to upstream in a lot of cases, as well as working through W3C standards as well. The Batch System Initiative, or BSI, is another effort that has a community around it. And you can see on the landscape that we showed, there's a lot of batch projects and communities there. So things you may have heard of around Q, which has been mentioned, and a lot of, it's really about how best to define specifications and CR types and really resources that are specific around batch efforts.
One thing that I'd like to point out on the batch system initiative working group, that there's a lot of overlap with AI type of things, because a lot of the AI type of workloads require batch scheduling and efficient use of resources, GPUs, CPUs, or memory. So this is tightly coupled with some of the other stuff that's going on in the Cloud Native AI working group. So I'll talk about a little bit on how maybe some of these initiatives can fall into the AI working group with the new tag structure. But there's also an open door policy in terms of, like, if the community wants to come together and create something that's super specific, maybe we can create like a short-lived initiative, or it could also be a long-lived sub-project, but it all depends on who leads this initiative and how the community comes together.
So next working group is Container Orchestrated Devices working group. Like one of unusual working groups in CNCF ecosystem. It started in the lunch table, like back in KubeCon San Diego, just like few people talking like how we actually going to use the devices in Kubernetes. And the result of that is what, like, we are one of the only probably working group which produces the code and owns the code in CNCF. So we are owning the specification about how devices are exposed inside the container. So it's the lowest building block, which, like, many of like more user visible things built on top of it. Example is DRA or command line usage in Podman, in Docker, and LXC, and so on. So we have people contributing from different companies, practically like all of those big projects related to container runtimes contributing. And the good thing, what I really want to announce on this KubeCon is what our specification 1.0 is released several days ago. But it doesn't mean what, like, the work for our working group is over. We still have to do the maintenance, because like all of those big projects are depending on what we are producing. Plus, there are new things which people are starting to ask more and more, and there are some movements in OCI runtime spec, so we expected to get support for network interfaces, which was, again, merged to OCI spec just a few days ago. If you're interested in devices, please also join our meeting. Our small community of hardware vendors and runtime maintainers are really welcome. So join. Our neighbor working group inside TAG Runtime is IoTH. We have a bit different structure. So if previous group doesn't produce code but doesn't produce the documents, IoTH were opposite. So if you're interested in H, interested how IoT devices connected to the Kubernetes clusters, have a look at the white papers which was published, well, quite recently. Well, one of them a bit earlier, one is recently.
We have also the Special Purpose OS working group. So we had a couple of outcomes for that, more like in the advocating for our different approaches for Special Purpose OS. So we had a panel in KubeCon Paris. We had also a panel in the Open Source Summit in Vienna, Birds of Feather in the last FOSDEM. It's more like we utilize it to have a kind of a round table to see where are the similarities and advocate for what is a special purpose operating system. So that's the stage that we are in, and we welcome anyone that is interested in the field to come and join and participate.
So now I'll talk a little bit about the tag reboot. So some of the changes coming up after the KubeCon freeze. So the new structure of the CNCF will look like this. We'll have the TOC making decisions about projects, about the different levels of the projects, and about governance in the CNCF. And then on top, behind or underneath, we'll have the tags. And this is not going to change in terms of like what it was before. But the changes will come with the sub-projects, initiatives, and the community groups. So sub-projects will be something like a working group, but they'll have an option to work directly with the TOC or with the tag or of their choice. If they think they're more associated with a specific tag, they can work directly with the tags. But if they need to work directly with the TOC, they can do so, and this can be included in the charter or the review process and the application process. And these sub-projects can actually be long-lived, so they can live for 2 years, 3 years, or as long as the community is active and there's activity going on. And then we'll have initiatives, and these are meant to be short-lived, like something specific, like a deliverable, like maybe like a spec or some piece of code, or the community comes together and creates like something that solves a specific problem. And then finally, we'll have community groups, and this will be more like meetings where people kind of discuss things together, like technology and around like a specific topic. So we'll have all the structure available on how to apply for each one of these, or how to create one of these in the CNCF TOC repo, and also on the CNCF website or in the CNCF structure in the GitHub, the CNCF GitHub organization. Next one, sorry. Okay, so this is kind of like what it would look like in terms of like the different tags. So we have initiatives, and for example, we could have something like artificial intelligence initiatives, and then sub-projects could be something like contributor strategy, and then in the technical advisory groups, this is where this is the current structure of. Sorry, no. This is the new structure of the tags. So we'll have 5, and we'll have developer experience, workload foundations, infrastructure, operational resiliency, security, and compliance. And then so tag runtime will map more directly to tag workloads foundation, but it doesn't mean like folks that are working in tag runtime can actually work with the other tags. So for example, there's a lot of overlap with tag infrastructure, and there will be maybe topics around operational resiliency, or how do you keep services up and running all the time, or how do you monitor those, etc. And these are more details about the different areas that the new tags will cover. So you'll see here that tag workload foundation maps more directly with tag runtime. Will you have runtimes, containers, VMs, batch schedulers, dynamic scaling, CI/CD, etc. And you'll see that also there's operational resilience, and there are things like that are related to tag runtime, for example, reliability, performance. And then in tag infrastructure, there's some overlap with like compute and maybe edge some more details about the scope of Workloads Foundation, which is more related to tag runtime. So we mentioned before, so there's WebAssembly, virtual machines, runtimes, schedulers. And some of the initiatives examples that may fall under tag runtime could be something like a best practice on batch scheduling or something on how to use GitOps in a more efficient way. And then for the leadership, the suggested leaders could come from these different tags like runtime, app delivery, or environmental sustainability. But if you're not in a current leadership role in one of these tags, I encourage you to look at the scope and the different areas and please apply. And I mean, there's a way to be a tag chair or a tech lead in the specific area that you're working in. So these are the current working groups in tag runtime and the suggested changes. So for batch working group, we are suggesting either archiving, depending on how much interest there is, or applying for a new initiative. Same with WASM working group, the container orchestrated devices working group, COD working group. Will also the recommended thing is to reapply, and IoT Edge. There hasn't been a lot of activity in IoT Edge, so the recommendation is to archive. But if somebody wants to work on it, feel free to step forward. Special operating purpose operating system, apply for initiatives, or use a community group. In the Cloud Native AI working group, they suggest to create a TOC sub-project.
So just wanted to mention that it's important to note that all of those communities, it doesn't mean that the work is stopping or that community is not important. It's just in the relation to CNCF, it's important that there's an initiative or something that is a deliverable out of that. So the community's work continues, and then that initiative can be part of the deliverable and outcome.
Yep. So this is just an example of artificial intelligence initiatives. Recently we had the AI, or we have the scheduling white paper in the works, and the AI security white paper. We also had the white paper published last year, and the leadership is usually led by the TOC, but then you could have team members from all these different tags, anything related to cloud native artificial intelligence is applicable to this initiative.
So even with those big tag reboots and changes in the leadership and the way how we are working, there is nothing really changed in the way how you can participate or how you can actually get yourself into one of the tag groups. Again, regardless how it will be named, regardless will it be like initiative, tag, or something else, please participate. Please join our meetings. Please join the discussions. Please help us with review of new projects. Any feedback from the fields, any feedback from the end users will be much appreciated by all of the tag members, by all of the projects, and so on. So we have currently working groups where will be restructured somehow. How, we don't yet know. We don't know who will be leading it. Maybe like it's maybe last time when we are in this group, standing on the scene and talking about the same subject. We don't know, but still we are continue working on our particular topics. Until the new structure will be announced, please contact us with usual places, like our Slack channel. It still exists, still working. We're still going to have the next several meetings on unusual time slots. Same again with working groups. So until the new structure will be established, the work is continuing as usual. And like our leads,
so please please reach out anytime. We're available. So while this happens, yeah, the work continues. It's just a matter of where it's going to fit in the different groups.
Just want to add shortly that the whole idea of this restructure is to enable the community and help them to grow faster and just like to present and be able to spin initiative more easily. So that's just like, if you look at the landscape now, we mentioned that it's like 200 projects, that it grow and still grow exponentially. So we just think about the next 10 years and where we would go with that. So we need to be more, I hate to say it, but agile, and to support the growth of the community. So that's all facilitating the community growth. That's the entire idea. We talked about the structure, but not about the purpose.
So I think we don't have any more. That's it for the slides. So we'll open it up for questions. So anybody has any thoughts or things that they want to talk about, happy to answer.
Any questions? Any hands? Well, I hope you enjoyed your KubeCon, and thank you for coming for the talk. And have a nice Friday, folks.